Let's get to our panel now. I'll bring in Natalie Clark, a Mix a Breakfast host in Adelaide, and Kristy McSweeney, Managing Director of PR Counsel in Melbourne. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us. We keep coming back to the cost of living issue on this program, Kristy, and look, the Prime Minister's overseas again. I've been through how it's hard to knock back some of these trips. You get the chance to do a state visit to Washington, DC. You've got to be there. But this is while everybody's reading back in Australia that 1 million homes are going short of food at the moment because the cost of living crisis is so tough.
Well, exactly. And as you said, a lot of these trips couldn't be avoided, apart from perhaps the Asia-Pacific one, where, of course, that's all angled towards Australia holding the next incarnation of the COP and signalling that it's acting on climate change with foreign aid to our Pacific neighbours. And at least Chris Bowen is on message there with the Prime Minister's agenda as well, Chris. But all people are seeing at home is, well, everything is costing me more and more and more, and I keep getting polled about the voice. No one's polling me about the cost of living. No one's polling me about domestic issues. And Australians are starting to wonder what's the agenda of the government in terms of how it relates to people sitting around their kitchen table.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting polled about the voice anymore. I think they bit the dust about 10 years ago, and we won't be hearing that for a while yet. The crucial thing here with cost of living is this staggering information from Foodbank. 1.2 million households, that's just in New South Wales and the ACT, going short on food. Let's have a word here. Let's hear from Bryony Casey, who's with Foodbank.
We're seeing more people who are young, so under the age of 45. We're seeing people who actually have a job, and we're seeing people in mid to high income now trying to make ends meet. And what we're finding is that food has moved from being a staple in the household budget to a discretionary or even a luxury item.
Ali, this is where the rubber really hits the road, right? We talk about it all the time. You know, we all notice how expensive things are. We all see how much more our petrol is costing when we fill up the car. But when there are families who can't afford food because rents are so high or mortgages are going up with your interest rates and petrol, a fixed cost to get to work is so high, this is really worried. There's something wrong with society when people are missing out on food.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you see the numbers at the till, you see the numbers at the Bowser, and we can actually see it on the streets, plus you hear of it anecdotally if it's not affecting you yourself. But when you see those numbers, 1/3 going hungry, half of us anxious about whether or not we'll be able to put food on the table, and you really have to sit back and go, righto, let's focus up now, enough with the jokes and enough with the overseas trips and enough with the voice and everything else, and let's get this sorted. And you know what else? Thank God for the NFPs, the not-for-profits and the volunteers and the charities that are currently having to pick up this slack that the government can't meet.
Yeah, absolutely. Organisations like Foodbank, people like the Salvos, St Vincent de Paul, when you can drop a box full of groceries to a family that just can't afford to get decent food because they have to meet the rent or pay their power price, then these organisations are just priceless.